Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Parker Emerald, and this is The Conversation Station. Today's guest is a highly skilled and versatile director, cinematographer, and video editor hailing from Canada. With a degree in cinematography and video production from O'Sullivan College, Gabriel has worked on a variety of projects ranging from documentaries to series to commercials. He has collaborated with reputable companies such as Bus Patrol, Narcity Media, Resolution Pictures, Muse Production, and more. And he has amassed over 6,000 followers on Instagram. Gabriel's passion for creating engaging and meaningful stories is evident in his exceptional skills in video editing, production, and videography. He consistently strives to deliver high-quality work and content to both his audience and clients. So let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Mr. Gabriel Joseph.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's an intro. And you did your research.
Yes, I did. There are a lot of other people with your name.
Okay.
And so the amount of specifying I had to do, like Gabriel Joseph, Canada director. and then, but it was still obscure to find stuff. The only thing, the place that had the most information was LinkedIn. Yeah. But, I mean, it's easier than some of the people I've had on where they haven't updated their LinkedIn in 20 years. And then all their other things are just, I'm just really happy to have you on, and why don't you just give the audience a bit of a overview of like who you are, and you know.
Yeah, I think you did quite a good job at that, actually. So, like you said, I'm a director, cinematographer, and video editor. I basically started off more in front of the camera. I actually have a degree in theater as well, but I kind of figured out that I really enjoyed directing and being behind the camera. So I went and got my degree in cinema at O'Sullivan College, like you mentioned, in cinema. And I fell in love with video editing. So for the last 10 years, I've been a video editor slash director and videographer. And now I do a lot of content online and work with different clients and do ads for them, actually.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Yeah, I fell in love with video editing at 11. Really? I watched a video. You might have seen this guy before. He does Adobe tutorials. His channel is called Learn How to Edit Stuff. Yeah. And he was doing a tutorial on how to do one of the Zach King effects where like he cracks an egg and like peanuts come out or something. And that's when I downloaded HitFilm Express because it was the free video editor that could do what I wanted it to. And then since then I've just slowly been going at it. And I love being both in front and behind the camera. I think they are both just as thrilling because my entire thing is I love producing results. And so when I get producing the results for myself is what I can do right now, but I'm also helping my mom and some other people do it. And it's really, that's what I enjoy about this whole process. And my favorite thing is with video editing is because you are making these files and you're exporting them and you're sending them somewhere or doing something with them, you always have evidence to go back and cringe about. You always have something to go back, look back on and be like, what was I thinking? Yeah. I know when I look back at the first episode of this podcast, it is a cringe fest. I mean, I started this podcast a little over a year ago. This is episode 21, and it's just, I'm really excited to have someone on here who is a creator, and you are the first person I've had on that up until now I had no real networking connection to them. So, yeah, I mean, your work on social media, you managed to bring comedy to this genre, which is hard to find because it's really hard to do without making it cheesy and over the top.
Yeah, I find that's the one thing that I really wanted to do. I love tutorials. I love teaching things to people. And a lot of my friends were like, man, you're really good at teaching things. You should do videos about it. But I was always like, there's so many other people teaching how to set up your camera, how to edit. I was like, I don't want to be just another one because what am I going to add? So I always found
absolutely.
The best way to teach is through humor and not to take yourself too seriously. So when I figured out, okay, let me try to do it my way and to include my kind of humor. It's not always, sometimes it's over the top. Sometimes
absolutely. Hey man, your lunch reviews are top notch.
Well, that's part of like the over the top aspect of it. Like I like to like just do something completely different and do the unexpected, basically. So also, I love Zach King, and I love any kind of like magic tricks and transitions and like stuff like that. So I try to include all of that in my tutorials to make it entertaining and not just someone in front of a computer talking about like how to put J-cut together.
No. Absolutely. I mean, I love teaching people. It's really, really fun. I mean, I'm the tech guy in my household, and amongst everyone, my parents or I know, I'm the tech guy, so I have to teach them there constantly. But like with something like video editing, it's a very hard space to do it in, especially when I could go watch a channel like Cinecom. Yeah. And they have years of expertise, and I'm a 16-year-old kid. I'm like, it would be, there's a reason I don't do tutorials, because there's so much competition in that space. And I love doing little tutorials. Like I'll probably do a tutorial for some of the cool AI tools that I've been playing around with recently.
Autopod?
Like one.
Yes, man.
Yes. Hey, here's the thing. I beat Parker Walbeck to the punch. I found it before he put out a video on it. So
Colin and Samir was the first one that I saw that put it out.
Yes, that's how I found it. I found it. I was scrolling through Instagram, and then Colin and Samir, I heard Autopod automatically edits. Okay, I went, I signed up. I was like, okay, $30 a month. Nope, that saves me 7 hours or whatever. It's incredible. So the last episode, I recorded it the day before it was supposed to release. Usually that's a nightmare, because multicam editing takes me feeling like doing multicam editing, because it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
Do you do multicam editing, or do you do 2 layers and you cut?
I do multicam because it's easier that way.
I was just asking because after I saw Parker's first video, I was like, dude, you're doing it wrong.
I just threw it in there, and it's like one button.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. It took me a second to process, but yes. I threw that clip into you just throw the 2 things in there, you click a button, and it's done. I mean, it's incredible. And there's I did a video on this tool. It's called Submachine, and it lets you get like the social media style, like awesome styled subtitles within Premiere natively. And so it allows you to apply Mogerts. They have a bunch of like, the one where the little bar moves from text to text with the Captions app. They have that now. They have a Mogert for that. They have all of the different styles, but I also just made one that uses I'm also realizing that a bunch of people who aren't into film and stuff aren't going to get some of these references, but the Saber plugin by Video Copilot. Yes. So what I did is I made a Mogert that uses the Saber plugin to get neon glowing captions, which just look incredible, because I was like, there's all these other styles, but the videos that I see that some of my favorite videos of podcast clips are like the ones that have a cool kind of dark stylized look and these glowing captions. I'm like, oh, I could do that. And so I did it once manually, and then I made a Mogert for it yesterday, because I couldn't possibly do that manually every time.
Yeah, that would take forever, bro.
Yeah, but the nice thing is it lets you apply Mogerts, and it is my favorite. It and Autopod are my 2 favorite tools right now. It's incredible.
Can you repeat the name? Submachine. Submachine. I'll check it out, because it's cool that it's really inside of Premiere. Even though I'm planning on moving to
DaVinci?
Oh yeah, DaVinci is the next one. Yeah, definitely. I already have the Pro license because I bought a Blackmagic, so definitely gonna have to try it out. But that's cool.
I've been thinking about moving to DaVinci, but every time I'm about to, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and do this. Premiere releases a feature that I can't leave. Like every time so the second I was gonna leave, they release text-based editing into their beta. So I've been using all my podcast clips. So this is my podcast workflow that I talked about in that same video. There's a application called GetMunch, right? And it lets you, and it'll automatically use AI to identify cool parts. And so unless I have a cool part found, I'll use that to identify all of them. But then when I find them, it's not that editable in there. And since I don't have a pro license, I can only export 720p.
Yeah.
And so then I just figure out, okay, this happened there. And then I just go into Premiere and I search that area up. I find that clip. And it's incredible to watch these workflows keep going. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
AI is just killing it. It's just helping us so much. I feel like a lot of people that are threatened by it are gonna like fall back, and they're just like they're gonna be overtaken by the new generation of people.
Yeah, so it's so funny you say that people are scared by it, because I just put out a video yesterday. And the video, it was a clip from my podcast where I'm talking about the biggest misconception with AI is that it's not replacing the human, it's changing what's needed from us. And I took it from the analogy of it's taking us from plowing the fields to being the person driving the tractor. And I don't get that many comments because I only get like 1,000 views. Most commented video, 5 hate comments that are all, it was so funny. They're like, what do you know? You're 16. What do you know about the olden times? Or you don't have enough experience. We will never accept it. And I found it so funny. I love hate comments because they make my videos perform better. So hate on me all you want. Just leave a comment. Just talk about it in the comment section down below. But it was so funny to see, especially when they were saying like, you have no perspective on this. But aside from the podcast, the thing is, I wasn't affected by it because I mentally knew it was blatantly untrue. Because aside from the podcast where I get to talk to influential people like you, I'm part of a mentorship program called Apogee Strong. I have my sweatshirt from it on right now, and it's an online mentorship program for young men. And their entire point is building the leaders of tomorrow. And I've gotten to talk to all sorts of incredible people, including Jeff Hoffman, who's a billionaire, and a lot of other influential people that are huge. And it's like, okay, I might not have the experience, but I've talked to hundreds of people who do, and they're all saying the same thing. And so, and this is another thing I heard from Alex Hormozi, and he talks about the people who are succeeding want to see you succeed. And so it's these hate comments. I love hate comments more. Honestly, I enjoy hate comments more than praising at this moment, because, well, first off, I don't get that many praising comments. I mean, I love my praising comments, but I love those hate comments. They're so fun because it's like, what are you doing?
I find depends how do you see it. Hate for hate, just hating to hate, I find is kind of like, okay, whatever. Like if you have nothing constructive to say, I'm more kind of the kind be like, okay, whatever. It's just you're talking. But whenever they have an opinion and it can become a conversation, that's when I like the hate comments. That's when I'm okay.
I mean, so for me, I like the hate to hate comments just because they're kind of funny, and it's really enjoyable to look at them and just sort of, well, especially because those are on YouTube when you don't have that many views, or on any of these platforms, the main comments you're going to get are hate comments. And so it increases my engagement. But I definitely, if I haven't had anyone bring like criticism, but if someone was like, hey, you could change this, here's my opinion, I don't think I would lean this direction, I would be like, oh, that's awesome. It's very interesting.
But you gotta admit also, the people that are hating, especially when it comes to AI, the funniest thing is they've been using AI for years, and they just haven't known that they were using AI. Whenever you're like writing in Google, like how to, and then you write a first letter and Google's already suggesting something, it's already AI. And they're like, AI is helping you. It's not there to replace you. Well, it might replace some bloggers and ChatGPT is like killing it right now.
Yeah, I use that a lot. It really helps. My mom hates writing copy, so she doesn't have to write copy anymore. But it's so funny that you talked about how people have been using AI for years and how it's not replacing humans, because that's what I said in the video. And then immediately after, when you said people didn't know they're using it, immediately after where that clip was in the podcast, my guest goes, the most important thing for people to realize is that AI is a tool for them to utilize, because if they're not utilized, like if the most dangerous thing is for someone to be using an AI and not realize it, because then they can't use it to its full potential. And AI is one of those things where it is a simple grasp where it's a bit of a leap of faith you have to take with AI. But once you do, it's like the amount of time I've saved from AI. Like, okay, what if I was scared Autopod.fm was going to turn my podcast into Devil Spawn? I mean, I wouldn't,
Well, you have to try it
I wouldn't be here.
out.
Yeah.
You have to try it.
Yeah. And I'm,
you know, you still have to try it and see what it does. And AI is at its lowest ever going to be. It's the worst it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better. And that's what's crazy
that's
about
the crazy thing. Yeah. Yeah, AI is at its low point, and you have to try it. That's what and I think that kind of goes for everything in life. Like, if someone has an opinion you disagree with, before you just go yelling that their opinion is terrible, you might want to do some research into their opinion and learn about it. I think that especially in the culture we have, where there's a lot of canceling going on and stuff, it's like, okay, look, some people just are saying just utterly terrible things, but other people, you should explore their perspective a little bit before you go jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, definitely. And sorry, I want to ask you a question, because I think we diverted into the AI field, because that's a whole world. But you said you started editing since you were 11. What's your goal? What's your end game with all of this?
I don't know what my end game is. All I know is that I enjoy it, and I have a lot of fun producing content. That's a question that I have been asking myself that I don't have an answer to. It's a very difficult question, because I think what I really enjoy doing is providing value to people in any way I can, and the editing and that's what I am. That's what I have expertise in currently, as opposed to everything else. And I think my understanding lies in the fact that no matter what content, let's say I randomly decided that I wanted to go become a wall constructor, specifically constructing walls, okay? I would still need to know how to do content to grow that business. Yeah. And so currently it's been a passion since I was super young, and now it's become a thing where I'm helping my mom with her marketing, and I'm helping and I have someone else who's interested in me helping them with marketing, and it's just growing. And I think currently my goal at the moment is to just become the best I can at this, so at editing, at podcasting, at all of these things, because if I just constantly strive to be the best, it will take me somewhere good.
Well said. And to be honest, I didn't expect you to have a lined out plan. But what do you like the most outside of just creating content? What's your hobbies?
So in terms of I love football. I don't really. I did flag football a little bit, but I'm homeschooled, so I don't really have opportunities to do that much. But my hobbies are basically talking to people and editing. It's like I think my thing is that all of my hobbies are and the things I'm working towards, I think helping people. It's weird. I don't really have my number one specific hobby is I love editing. I can dive in for hours. I mean, I just meant to spend an hour editing a clip, and I spent an hour and a half. In terms of my own hobbies, I think that I don't necessarily have your classic version of a hobby. I love sports. I love watching sports, and I guess you could consider watching sports a hobby. Yeah. But the things that I'm talking about on my social media accounts and stuff, those are my hobbies. Editing, AI, and leadership in a sense. Just providing value to people, and so it's a very interesting thing where I don't necessarily have your classic idea of hobbies like, oh, I love specifically this.
Well, but it is still a hobby. If you love AI and you love learning stuff and working on the podcast, having conversation with people, just being able to have conversation with people, I still see this as a hobby. It doesn't need to be drawing or playing sports, or even the fact that you said you love watching sports and you love football, that's part of it. The reason why I was asking is because whatever you're building, whatever you're working towards with all this podcast and conversation, building towards being the best version of yourself, it's cool to also have a way to escape it, and like ways to just like little things you can do on the side that will help escape from it. But right now you're living from your hobbies, so it's great.
Well, yeah, I think my escape is like watching sports or like playing some video games. I do not play that much video games. But when I do, it is usually like a basketball or football video game. But it's like maybe once every couple of weeks. But like the way I escape the world is by doing my content. Like sometimes I'll wake up, feel completely uninspired. There's a reason the first productive thing I do in my day is create a clip from my podcast, because it gets me going. It gets me excited for the rest of the day, because it's what excites me and what gets me just gets me going.
Gets your creative juices flowing as well. Let me ask you then, who's your favorite creator for their editing style?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because when I watch content all over the place, and I'm just really it's like in every genre there's someone's editing style that is awesome. I'm trying to think. I mean, Ryan Trahan's editing is really, really good in terms of storytelling. Mm-hmm. I mean, I definitely like to. I definitely know Mr. Beast has a great editing style, but it's not necessarily for me. I definitely know it works on social media, and you have to incorporate some elements. But I'm trying to think, because there are some videos that I've watched where the storytelling was incredible, but I don't remember the exact editor's names, creator behind it. But there is some content where the storytelling, I know Film Booth does a really good job in his editing, because his stuff is like tutorials or teaching lessons about YouTube, but he tells it in a story, which I think my favorite thing is you get to see the elements people spin onto it. And the interesting thing is short form content is so different from long form content in terms of storytelling. I have a video I want to do on Adobe's announcement of Firefly AI for video, which is going to be incredible. And I have a concept, but I also know that concept is going to take like 4 hours to edit. It's just like for a 2-minute video or for like a 1-minute video, but it would be fun because I want to tell it in a story sense where I am within, like, I want the video to start off zooming in on like a Premiere Pro panel, and then the Adobe Firefly AI popping up, and as I'm talking, someone is typing and changing the scene around me, and like giving me a wonky hat. But I think that's a question that I don't necessarily have an answer to.
That's fine.
At the moment.
That's fine. Like, I think overall, the reason why I was asking is just to see like what kind of editing style you would try to implement in your own, because they say like steal like an artist. Whenever you like see something that you enjoy, you're trying to grab from everywhere and like make it your own. So I was just trying to figure out like what kind of art.
Got to figure out what just happened, because I cannot hear you at this second. I don't know what just.
Yeah.
Oh, there you're back.
I hear you.
You're back. We're good.
Okay, cool. I can hear you. You're just frozen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
But it's fine.
Yeah, no. I could see your mouth moving. The audio just wasn't coming through. What were you? Could you repeat what you were saying?
I was gonna say like it'd be cool to know like the reason why I asked is just to know like which creators, because they say steal like an artist. So basically, whichever creators that you're like watching and you enjoy, that's how you implement a piece of each of them into your own work to make it your own.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's why I was asking. But like just the fact that you mentioned like Ryan Trahan, Mr. Beast, I see more that dynamic, very punchy editing style. I know Ryan Trahan is more of a slow pace, more kind of like almost low budget style that he has, which I really enjoy.
I think that's what I really enjoy about it is because low paced content is hard to engage people, and he manages that really, really well. But I think my implementing people, especially because my focus right now is mostly on short form content. I want to do some long form stuff, but like the podcast, there's no real editing that goes into a podcast. But then the clips, I've just like seen some clips I like, and then if you notice some of the style and like the music behind my clips, it changes every like week or so because I'm inspired by someone new, and I'm just testing to see what does well. I definitely noticed that some of these more stylized looks grab a lot of attention because, you know, when you're scrolling through social media with all these punchy colors and then you get this darker, almost monotone look, you're not used to seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely stands out. I think that's the one thing also is like a lot of people try to jump on trends just to jump on trends because they want to get the views, they want to get the attention. But if it's not something that you like or you're enjoying to do, the scary part about it is if you start making a lot of views doing something you don't enjoy, then you feel like you're stuck doing that to get the views that you need.
I know.
And then it's a rabbit hole. Then you just keep digging your own grave.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a kind of comedic parody song that I want to write and put out, but I also know it has potential to go viral, and that's what scares me because I'm gonna get a bunch of followers. If it goes viral, I get 10,000 followers from that, but no one cares about the podcast content. They just want more parodies, and parodies are fun, but it is very interesting to navigate that.
Yeah, so that's why, no matter what you do, as long as you enjoy it, that's the number one thing. Don't care about trends, don't care about, you can, still be strategic because you still want to be seen and you still want to be able to, reach as many people as possible. But I find the concept of, doing just the things that you know are going to go viral just because you know they're going to go viral won't help you down the road. And that's what I'm trying to do anyways. I'm trying to, steer away from just doing the simple things.
Yeah.
I know I could have done, to be honest, I started really posting consistently, in February. I think was the end of February is when I started really posting consistently. And I grew around 6,000 in that amount of time on Instagram and 30+ thousand on TikTok. But what really made me grow fast in the beginning was the videos that I put out on phone videography and how to make your phone footage look a little more professional, almost kind of like a DSLR camera. And the one thing that I noticed is that every time I put out a video when it was in regards to phone videography, it did well. But I don't use my phone to really film a lot of stuff, if any nowadays. I mostly use my DSLR. And I knew that if I kept on doing videos like that, I could make a lot of views, but it wouldn't be authentic to what I'm doing, to myself. So that's why I kind of strayed away from that and started more teaching about the basics of cinematography that you can use whether you have a phone or not.
Yeah.
So that's why I was telling to you, whatever you decide to do, you love podcasts, you love conversation, man. This is great. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny. That's probably right. Or I think the first video I saw of yours was something on phone content, but I think it had already been out for a week or so because I clicked on your profile and there was all this other stuff, and it was just. And I definitely think it is interesting because if I wanted to go viral, I would not podcast clips. It's pretty hard to go viral unless you have freaking Joe Rogan on your podcast or some of these notable people. But I think it is a very interesting thing to navigate. My best performing content as of late was a piece that I did just for social media about AI tools that were awesome, where I highlighted Submachine and Premiere Pro's new text-based editor, and it did really well there and on TikTok, which my TikToks never get much views. Yeah, AI is huge. AI
is great.
And so if I wanted to get views, I would do something on some AI, how it relates to phone cinematography or whatever. But it is interesting where I could make a video like that because my stuff that's just for social media, 100% recorded on my phone. I grab my phone and I throw it into cinematic mode, and I sit in my room where the window has good lighting, and it looks absolutely passable because you're viewing it on a tiny little screen, and I'm right by the camera, so I don't have to zoom in or anything. But obviously on this I need the zoom lens in order to get clean and crispy footage. But it is interesting, and it's also a hard thing to be able to stick to what you want to do when something else does better. When that piece of AI content did well, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta start doing some AI videos 100% of the time. But I also
you got that dopamine
hit. I also understand that the best part about the podcast is it makes producing my social media content a heck of a lot easier because it's not a stressful, what am I going to do today? What am I going to record today? It's, I have an hour of content. That's at least 7 clips, and I'm doing a podcast a week. That easily gets me enough content to be able to put out. And I'm definitely excited to watch myself progress, where up until recently, all of my clips were mostly my guest talking. But I found that as of recently, I have gotten to the point where there are actually some good moments in my podcast of me. And some of the moments, there was a moment in my last podcast where, as I was saying it live, I was saying it in a way that I knew would perform well on social media. I made it extra fast paced, and so it's just, I think that my passion for it lies in the constant problem solving.
Well, you see, that's the number one thing, the number one quality I find that you need apart from social skills. The number one quality that you need to have to succeed in this business is problem solving skills. Because in this industry, whether you're on set or you're a video editor, whenever you're working on a production, you're always going to face obstacles. You're always going to have problems. And if you're kind of like the mind that like, oh shit, I don't know what to do, I give up, you won't last long. So that what you were saying right now, the constant problem solving is what you love, makes me already know that you got to make it far in this industry. I think that, like, when, I decide, okay, I want to do this glowing captions, but this is taking too long, I'm going to try to create a motion graphics template for it. Oh crap, it doesn't work with this plugin. Okay, now I'm going to message the developers and wait for them to get back to me and tell me I have to paste in this weird little text symbol in order for it to work. And so it's a constant process. But I think the most fun part about it is that constant process. Like, hey, I built this studio. I mean, I built this studio for the total cost of, like, stuff in here, probably total cost of $100. Because besides like the actual gear, but like the set, like, that pod mic's $100. My Zoom PodTrack P4 is $150. My camera's $500, which the reason I haven't upgraded the lens on that camera is any lens that I would buy would be more expensive than the camera. And it's but like this wood, found it in our garage because when we moved in to the house, it was the headboard in the master bedroom. My parents didn't want to use it, and so it had just been chilling in the garage. I grabbed this IKEA table from our storage room. I bought a pack of sound foam, and it was just one of those things where, like that, the problem solving. And then when I didn't like how this room was configured, I completely reconfigured it. And now I just need to find a good hair light. The hair light that you can see right here that's out of frame for them. It's an RGB throw light for like outdoors, and it works really, really well. The issue is it does white, but it only does tungsten white. And my lights are daylight, and so it doesn't work. And so I realized my footage looked better if I didn't have the light on. So I just stuck with that. But I think that problem solving, it's like, I definitely see it in just life in general. If you're passionate about problem solving, no matter what you're in, you're going to be successful, because when an issue comes your way, you're just inspired to go through it. I think when big things happen that really suck, it can be hard to find that inspiration, but it is it is one of the biggest elements of success. Yeah, it's true. That's a really great point. Problem solving, number one in everything.
Yeah, I mean,
man.
You think Gary Vee got to where he is today without this is all he talks about, He's like, but I mean, it's also very interesting to look at the digital production industry as a whole, because it's one of the fastest growing industries because everyone's starting to need it right now. And second off, there are so many different ways to do it. I mean, there's so many different styles, and there's so many different, like, the different kinds of people. Like, I work with a guy by the name of Rodney Farrell, who runs a business, who runs a marketing, video production, all that stuff business, and he's super successful. And I watch the way he runs stuff, and he's got a relatively small team. but I watch the way they shoot stuff. I've gone and I've shadowed them, but then I go to the local media center, which I intern at, and it's a nonprofit. But they have, first off, their gear vault is the greatest room in all of the planet, because they have DJI Ronins, they've got expensive cameras, light domes, all like just amazing gear. But it's interesting to watch the way they run things. And it's interesting to be I think the value is being able to compare and contrast and be like, yeah, I don't like the way this place runs things, but I like the way this place does. And in this industry, there is a place in this industry for every kind of content creator.
I think that's the beauty of it. It's because it's so new. It's also so new, and nowadays everyone has the tools in their hands, their cell phone, to be able to create any kind of content they want. So you have as much variety as you have people on the planet. And that's what's interesting. So there is no given path to be able to do it. So you're completely right. It's like, it's so interesting for it. But not only that, the more and more things are evolving, and now with AI and all that we already talked about, it's just, there's other tools that keep appearing that makes our life easier and the process so much smoother.
I think that's the thing with AI, is it's making our lives easier, but it's only making our lives easier if we know how to take advantage of it properly. I mean, in terms of the video editing side of things, just AI as a whole is really, really, really incredible. So I did a test a couple of weeks ago. I had a guy who I had on my podcast, and he had released a YouTube video, and it was just him recorded. He just recorded himself going over some stocks because he's in the financial space. It wasn't that interesting. There wasn't that much pace. There was no editing. And so I used ChatGPT to edit a video. I threw the transcript into ChatGPT, and I told it, no, do not add any text, but restructure the text in this transcript to be an engaging YouTube video. And then over in Descript, because this was before the Premiere Pro beta, I just edited it like that, and it turned out really, really good. And so it's like, even with something like that, that's the most primitive way to go about it. But there's tools for every industry taking advantage of AI. ChatGPT is the most well-known because it's the most universal, but there are so many niched down AI tools that are incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah. Actually, a few companies reached out to me, like wanted to do like some sponsored videos on their own apps. And I was like, I'm not ready there yet. I will down the road. But right now, I'm using my own tools to be able to like get to learn them. Before I start promoting all those different tools, I have to start understanding them better and seeing if I can use them in my own day-to-day, and if I can see other people having value. Like, obviously, if I was approached by Autopod, sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but damn, I would 100% use it. Because I would definitely like promote it, because I've used it like twice so far, and my God, it's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, so for an entire podcast, there was just one part in the beginning when I was doing my intro where my guest's mic made a little noise and it cut to that. And it was so simple, just drag it over a little bit. But besides that, it was good, and it was better than the editing I could do myself, because I really liked how the second my guest would like have a comment on something I was saying, it would cut to them, as opposed to me being a little lazy, just like, oh, I'm still talking, I'm not cutting. But it is,
the only thing that I will say that it doesn't do, and I think that's the one issue, is I like to cut sometime to get people's reaction. So even if I'm talking, but I see that someone's reacting to what I said, I like to cut to their reaction, because it gives kind of like an emotion to whatever I'm saying. That's the one part that it doesn't really do, because it really sticks to whoever's talking is whoever I'm showing.
It makes sense because it doesn't do visuals. It's purely based on audio. But what I figured out is, how when you edit it, it puts you separate the two different video tracks, and it puts them on two different tracks. What I did is I made a multicam sequence, and I duplicated it, one for each person, and then when it was done, I just dragged the top layer down, and then I could edit it like it was multicam, but it was pre-edited, so you could just utilize it as a so doing those reactions super easy. It's
that's the thing. Like, you can still do it. It won't do it for you. The one thing though is like, you basically still have to go through it to be able to like kind of re-edit on top of it.
Yeah.
Which almost kind of defeats the purpose of having it.
Well, yeah, I definitely, but I also see the fact that, hey, I mean, if you know, like, if you were on set, right, while it was being recorded, and you're like, oh, I remember there's this moment here, right? Let me just go to that, like, find that point and you know, kind of speed through. I want to cut to this person's reaction. But I also think that the difference between something edited by Autopod versus something edited by a human, or a human going back through it, it's so marginal. You know, it's like a couple of wrong cuts throughout the entire thing. And so I look at it and I'm just like, but I also don't understand why it hasn't been out sooner. I mean, I know that I've been wanting a tool like this since I started this podcast, because I looked at something like Riverside or a Zoom. So Riverside, after the fact, it'll do an AI edit cutting back and forth, but Zoom does it real time when you have the speaker view on. So I'm like, it's obviously not that advanced. I was like, wait, Adobe could just do this. I feel like Adobe is either gonna like buy speed. They're gonna buy Autopod, because Autopod has a patent. So they have a patent on their technology, because it says patent pending on their thing. So I feel like Adobe's probably going to buy them, and then everyone who is leading one is just going to be forced back to Adobe.
I would, to be honest, I would so be pissed if they did that. Oh my God. The reason why is I want to switch to DaVinci. Stop it, Premiere.
I know every time it's like, okay, my one thing, you can't adjust where panels are in DaVinci, and it infuriates me. I need a plugin that lets me adjust that, because then I'd be DaVinci all the way. But no, DaVinci is great. It is run by a company that actually cares about the people that use the product. The fact that it has a free version, and it is. There are some of the things, obviously there's a learning curve to it because it's a new software, but it is very, very good. But Adobe does just have a couple of things that are better, and it's also the fact that I've been editing so for HitFilm is basically a recreation of Premiere and After Effects. They have two different editing styles, and so I've been doing that for years. And so it is interesting, but I definitely appreciate what this industry is, and it's starting to become more competitive.
100%.
I mean, Blackmagic is only doing better, bigger stuff, and Premiere, people are getting fed up with Adobe being Adobe, charging us $50 a month, and there's the fact that there's a photo suite for $20 a month. But there's not a video editing suite that costs $20 a month. All I want is After Effects and Adobe Premiere Pro. That's all I want. Yeah. Like I could use, like, Photoshop's nice. I could use GIMP. There are all of these alternative options for these other tools. But all I want is those two. But they also know that those are like two of their most used products, and they're not going to package them. And then the thing is, I was like,
it's all about the money, man.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, okay, maybe I could get them as a combo, right? Like, just get them because you can get one app. It would cost the same price as the all apps plan. It's so stupid.
It really is. It's all about the money. That's the way to get you, and that's what's infuriating with the Premiere. Like, even freaking Final Cut, you buy it once, you're done. Like, you don't keep paying monthly. Like, it's basically a cash grab. That's why they're doing it. That's why I really kind of like, that's not the only reason why I have a problem with Premiere. Is one of the reasons because they don't really update properly their firmware, especially when, like, let's say you have like a firmware update, you get the 15.0, I don't know at which point they are. I feel like you can't, when you already started a project, if you update your program, some of the things in your other project is gonna start messing up.
Yeah, I haven't,
which is a big issue.
Yeah, I haven't ran into that issue too much, but
I've ran into a few times, especially on client projects, which is infuriating.
Yeah,
because at this point, it's almost like you have to almost re-edit the entire thing. So, like, a couple of times, Premiere has really been like a pain in the butt, to be honest. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to switch to DaVinci. But funny enough, I don't know if you know this, but like when you work in a more like a Hollywood style, more of a higher like editing program, they don't even use any of those. They use DaVinci for color grading, but the program they mostly use is Avid Media Composer. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard of it before, but
yeah, it's a really great editing tool, super complicated.
Yeah, I mean,
not
yeah.
user friendly at all.
I think that okay, if I were DaVinci, I would do this. You know how they have their Fusion where it's like node based for like basically doing After Effects stuff?
Yeah.
I would give the people the choice. You have your node based editor. If they had a layer based like something like After Effects that was also layer, I think that's one of the things holding people from coming over, because if they come over from Premiere, they have to basically relearn how they can't use After Effects anymore. They have to learn node based editing, which is a completely different way to edit. It's powerful, but it's completely different. If they gave you the option to choose between them, or if they even just they had the same workflow, but they laid it out in layers and allowed you, like, there's probably a way to go about it. That would probably help me reasonably switch.
Yeah, I think it would help a lot of people switch, because I think the learning curve is a little steeper than most programs. Even Final Cut, the learning curve isn't as complicated as DaVinci. But DaVinci is so well streamlined that, like, you take the month that you need to, probably gonna take a little more than a month to really get to know all the tools the way that you're supposed to. But once you do, it is literally almost flawless. Which I've worked with DaVinci a lot in the past. There's like the updated versions I haven't been like working on, so I think I'm still gonna have to relearn it, because I haven't used it in a few, like, I gotta say, over a year now. But when I was using it, man, it did not slow down.
It's
I could
so
have
snappy.
Things running at the same time.
It's so snappy. I've been dealing with issues with Premiere
go for it.
nonstop in terms of lag, or like, this is my main issue. And it's weird. It only happens when I do my first edit of my podcast. After I export and I go back to do clips, no problem. But it's specific, and it's on all of my computers. Maybe it has to do with the fact that the hard drive that I store all of my podcast files on isn't super fast. But I don't see why it would change after it gets exported, because it's still it's still like the same sequence. But when I use JKNL to speed up, I'll speed up my timeline so I can scrub through, and like when a guest is talking a ton, it'll just, they're talking, it'll speed up, right? And I'll be ready to like slow it down so I can edit. But every now and again, it won't let me pause it. And so then I have to just walk away and wait for it to play through the entire sequence. Yeah. It is the most infuriating thing.
Oh yeah.
But hey, Autopod changed it, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, to be honest, like, that's the one thing about Autopod. Like, at this point, when I was talking about reactions, I don't care anymore. Like, you just save so much time from me. I'm not even gonna go back and get that reaction shot. I'm like, okay, it's good.
Yeah.
Go through it real fast. Okay,
my point. I think, in my opinion, 2 hours is worth a reaction. Also the neck pain that can be done from just staring and like paying, so you have to pay so much attention. You're like, cut,
yeah.
But
go back a few frames.
Yeah. That's the thing. So my question is, what is your opinion on Red Giant and Maxon as a whole? Because it was Red Giant. Red Giant got bought by Maxon. My opinion, I actually have an appreciation for them, because they have the best student pricing. $5 for a 6-month thing, and it's just a processing charge. $5 processing charge for 6 months of Maxon One, which is multiple thousands of dollars of value, and it gives you the whole Red Giant suite. My issue is that currently I'm not in the normal education system, so my license ran out on that, and so I need to get my cousin to let me use her school ID so that I can get it. But like the fact that because Adobe's discount is $30 a month less, but only for 1 year. The discount ends after 1 year, which is so infuriating. And then it's like, okay, so you expect, but you don't want people to go over to DaVinci. If someone asked me today, and they said, I want to start editing, which software would you recommend? I'm sending them to DaVinci 100% of the time.
Well, yeah,
because, but also, even if they went and bought the paid version, it's also because if you're going to learn something, learn the tool that like isn't going to cost you like lots and lots of money over your lifetime, because once you learn an editor, it's hard to switch.
Yeah, but also it is the best color grading tool out there, and you can get it for free.
Yeah,
like pros, basically cinematographers use this, and it is free. How the hell can it be free?
Yeah,
and that's what keeps resonating in my mind. So you're right. Like if they can get it for not only like use a video editor that like they can learn and grow with, but something that is not gonna be like a hefty weight on their pocket.
Yeah,
that's what I would suggest as well.
Yeah,
same.
It's interesting. You look at yeah. Well, oh, I was gonna say something. It slipped my mind.
No worries.
You look at. I think I was gonna say something. Go ahead.
No worries. But when you were talking about Maxon and Red Giant, honestly, I've used Red Giant. I don't use it anymore personally. There's a lot of like effects and stuff like that I found super interesting. But I've kind of created my own effects packs that I keep reusing, so I haven't been really into Red Giant, so I don't really have an opinion on that. But the fact that, like you said, that they have that student discount price is extremely beneficial for anyone that wants to learn it.
Yeah,
which is what I find a lot of people like they don't think about, but it's you have to start early. Like, I love the fact that you started like when you were 11. Like when my first edit, I was 16, and when I started my first edit, and it was to show how old I was. It wasn't even on a computer. I had like 2 VHS decks. I don't even know if you know what a VHS
yes, I
is.
Do.
Okay, perfect. And I had 2 VHS decks, and one was playing, the other one was recording, and then I'd stop and play and record and play and record. That's how I edited my first video. So it was so freaking complicated. But now the tools we have are so simple and affordable to anyone that like you said, even TikTok, just to mention, TikTok is one of the greatest editing tool that anyone can have access to. It's ridiculous the thing you can do on that without even going off the app. And I find the more and more I think about it, the more and more social media are nurturing future video editors, future like just creatives, not creators in general. Yes, creators in general. And that's what I love about technology nowadays and where it's going.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
It's very affordable unless you use Adobe, but no.
Oh man, this is gonna be the bashing of Adobe podcast.
I should just name it. Yeah. Talking anti Adobe, you know? It's so I remembered what I was gonna say. I think that's another issue I have with Premiere. Lumetri is not that good.
Oh my god.
It's not that good. Trying to get a good color grade, especially like Premiere sucks at color grading log footage.
Yeah.
I could record like this, right? And I get like it's a little like I don't have log on right now. And it's a little bit too much in terms of contrast, you know. There's not as much and there's not as much detail, which I want. And on this, I don't even have actual log. I'd use a log color profile, but it gives me so much more dynamic range and you know, edited well, it can look good. But the issue is I can't possibly recreate the nice shadows and the nice highlights, like the contrast. I can't recreate that using Lumetri and log footage. I can't possibly do that, and I don't know why. I have no idea why, but it won't let it happen. And I keep trying. I'm like, okay, I recorded a podcast in log, and my issue was just that the drop shadow, because I right now I have 2 lights, so there's no drop shadow. Mm-hmm. But then I had 1 light, so I was trying to create a nice drop shadow on the side of my face. It wouldn't do it. It would not let me color grade it to get a nice drop shadow. And I don't know.
And I can't really talk about the specifics of it, but I know one thing also, which is pretty insane, is that even though you might color grade it, quote unquote, to your liking, when you export it, even if you have the right settings, it will come out different.
Yeah.
That's another infuriating thing. I don't know if they fixed it. Like, I haven't had this problem recently with the latest update, but I knew in the past I would color grade it to my liking. I would export it. It would be a little orange. I was like, why? So now I kind of like export it and I use another program to color grade because I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely find the nice thing is that currently, since I'm working on my own projects and with a podcast, not that many people are watching the video version of it. It's and so I don't worry that much about how perfectly is the color grade, but I definitely look at some of the tools that are in DaVinci, and they're so fast. Like the stuff that would take After Effects an hour to export, it's like or real-time playback in After Effects is so bad. It's impossible. Even when I'm like, it's not like I have a bad computer. I have an RTX 3080 Ti and a Ryzen 5800X. This is good stuff. I mean, it's a generation old, but when I got it, it was top of the line. And so, but then I watch like a video where Corridor uses DaVinci, and they apply these effects, and it's instant. They can play it back in real time. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I need this, and so I got to do some learning. I think another thing that DaVinci struggles with is some of the audio video sync that Premiere is pretty good at. Yeah. But like looking at it, I'm just like, wow, it's the differences is incredible. And I think it comes down to the fact that they are free and the fact that they actually have to compete with people. Adobe and like they have to in order to stay relevant, they have to produce good stuff. But Adobe almost they don't have a monopoly, but they have a monopoly, because a lot of people have been using it for a long time, and it makes it really hard to switch. And I don't know, it's interesting.
I think there's a wave. The wave is happening now. People are jumping on board that wave and riding it towards DaVinci. DaVinci or Final Cut, actually, either or, because a lot of Mac users are going towards Final Cut instead of DaVinci.
Yeah.
So I think down the road, if Premiere doesn't switch their game, they might be losing a lot of people. I don't say they're going to shut down anyways, because they are still innovating by buying other companies and getting like new AI tools to be able to use like some crazy cool effect, like even Adobe Podcast, which isn't great, to be honest. Hopefully they'll get better at that.
Yeah.
But like having those things come out will keep making people go back.
So here's the thing. If Adobe Podcast, like, because they said in their full version, it'll basically be like Riverside, where you will be able to record on here and have the local recording. If they do that, it will, for me, it will kind of justify paying for Adobe, because this Riverside costs $20 a month. And so if that's included in my Creative Cloud subscription, then it starts to justify it, where like it would be nice to not have to pay for Riverside and have that native in Adobe. One thing is at first, I almost feel like Adobe Podcast has gotten worse, because I remember when I was first using it, it was immaculate. It was so good, and now I listen to it and I'm like, that sounds nothing like the source. You can't tell it's the same person. I'm so confused because it sounded so good.
Can I tell you something? It sounds like every product that Adobe comes out with. At first, it's great, but it keeps getting worse for some reason. And then they add plugins. They're like, it's great again. Oh, nope. It only worked for until one firmware update. Like,
yeah, it's.
I'm sorry. Okay,
it's no.
They'll never sponsor you.
Yeah, I might just get home and then and I might just run upstairs to start editing this, and then I'll see Premiere Pro not available. Not included in your subscription. It's
we just upped the price $50.
Oh God, if they charge $100 a month, I don't care. I'm on DaVinci. I don't care that Autopod isn't on DaVinci yet. I will call the devs and I will code it myself if Adobe charges me $100 a month. But no, it is one of those things where it does feel like some of their new things that come out that are exciting. They tend to be really good at first, and I think with something like Adobe Podcast, maybe it's because of all the users that started using it, they had to down the quality. But like, I listened to some of the stuff, like, and I try to run it through, and it sounds so much more robotic than at first. And my issue is I don't know what happened, because that would be very, very useful to know. But yeah, let's stop bashing Adobe. Adobe, you are a good company. Thank you.
You could do better.
Yeah.
But thank you for what you've done so far. Do better.
Yes. Oh man.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess we spent half this episode talking about AI and half of this episode talking about, or no, bashing Adobe, which, like, okay, at the end of the day, I will bash Adobe till the ends of the earth, but I will still walk up the stairs and throw this footage into Premiere Pro, which sucks. But the fact is that they are at the forefront of a lot of this technology, and like something that has been in Premiere Pro for a year, like auto transcription just got added to DaVinci. And so I definitely will start playing around with it more and more. But also the issue is, it's like, okay, what if I start using, like, I use DaVinci to edit an episode or something, and something goes wrong that I knew, but I know I would be able to do it in Premiere. Like, I tried editing an episode in, okay, my feature that I need Premiere to add that DaVinci has is the bins that are always in your projects. You know, the bins you can always, because I use, and if you could, or even if you could save it to the preset panel, like a logo, because my logo that I believe is somewhere up here. People watching, look at that logo. It's pretty cool. I made it in After Effects using Adobe Sabre, or no, using Sabre. But no, so the logo, it's always the same size, you know, in the same spot every single time. What I did is I just made a template project that I duplicate every time that has that stuff in there. But if it was just easily drag and drop, it would be nice.
Yeah. I think they're still learning in that regards, but I think down the road they are getting so much better, so much faster nowadays. I think it won't be long until they start like really implementing a lot of those little details.
Definitely, and I think that's kind of,
I think so. Anyways.
Yeah,
but like you just got to keep sending them suggestions.
Yes, kindly presented suggestions. But I definitely think that this constant evolution from Adobe is also evident of the entire industry, because Adobe is at a point where they only have to do things. They only have to once they're pressured. And so as I look at this industry, all I see is constant evolution. And I think that if anyone out there is watching who doesn't do content, I know that being in front of the camera can be scary. But like, go to like Pixabay, which is a free stock footage website, and download some stock footage and download some free music from there too, and make a little music video or something. Just start learning these tools, because as this industry grows, like, you might have an account. Next thing we know, there might be accountants who double as video editors because it's such a standard.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Most of the time, your marketing is all done through social media. So, and I would suggest more than that, even though you being in front of the camera might be scary, film yourself, and you don't need to post it. Just get used to it. Just get used to it, because down the road, you can have those faceless channels that do really well, but people start trusting the people they know. And if they don't see you, they don't know you. So, and the more and more AI will become apparent, the more and more people will stop trusting stuff that they see online when they don't have a connection to a human. So I think more and more it's going to be important for people to show their faces.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I'm just excited to watch things evolve and to be here for that evolution. And I'm lucky enough not to be someone who's scared by the evolution of it, and so I get to watch this, and it's exciting. Yeah, I'm just excited to continue to work on the stuff I'm working on, and yeah,
and keep at it, man. Seriously, just the fact that you already kind of like, you're deep diving into your passion. Episode 22 now,
21. So this is episode 21.
21. Okay, well, episode 21 now, so like you keep getting better every time you do it.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for coming on here. It's cool to talk to people, and I think one of the most rewarding things when you reach out to someone who you like respect through social media and you get to talk to them is when they're the same person, you know, talking to you as they are in their videos. Because I definitely think that that's something that like even I am like when I've been talking to people that like, you know, I look up to or something, and I've seen, like heard about them through social media or something. It's very nice when they are the same person with the cameras on versus the cameras off. And I think that's also why podcasts are so big, because they're so real. It's real. It's hard to stay in character for, you know, an hour, although there are plenty of like comedians who manage to do it, but like they're comedians, that's their job. But like I think that's why that's growing. And yeah, I mean, thank you so much for coming on here. I'm really glad I got to talk to you.
Same, man, Parker. You're doing great, my friend. And I can't wait to see what you keep on doing with this AI tools. You'll keep me posted.
Yeah, of course. All right. Thank you guys at home for watching. I've been talking to Gabriel Joseph, and this has been The Conversation Station.